yeah. Great looking car.
Here comes the grid, Engelhardt, Muller. Then it's Tim and Schmidt before we see Ammermuller, Di Filippi, Klaus Backler, Philipp Eng. Then it's Robert Lucas and Norbert Siedler, Pieter Schotthurst, Christopher Zoechling, Combe Ledegar, Niklas Kentenich, Jaap van Lagen. Then it's Schreier, Nielsen, Schmidt. Before we see Anaiken, Burkhan, Renauer, Johnston, Gerhardt and Mike Halder. And the rest of the grid, as you can see, up on screen for you. What a packed grid. Across both A and B categories, but by far and away the most dominant is the A category as the sun sets down here at Hockenheim. It's been a warm day today and the Porsche's out on track. The 4.5 kilometre circuit here at Hockenheim with Christian Engelhardt, pole position. Sven Muller alongside, then it's Tim and Schmidt and Ammermuller and Di Filippi. So the championship battle is between Ammermuller, Eng and Engelhardt. And going into this, it's Eng that has the slender advantage at the top, but he's starting behind Ammermuller. And Engelhardt, of course, who is P3 in the points, is the one that starts from pole position. So as we watch the cars come through, two races, as David has said, shorter one today, and then the longer one tomorrow, and the championship celebrations on the podium for the Porsche Carrera Cup. Another very successful year for the Porsche Carrera Cup. There's Jaap van Lagen weaving from side to side. Not in contention for the championship for this, was in contention in the GT Masters, and then a botched pit stop of 4/10 caused a 1 second stop-go penalty.
Too short a pit stop, yeah.
Yeah, and he still doesn't know how that happened. But that cost him any chances he had of that championship, and was not in contention for this one.
So to go into tomorrow's race, put simply, Engelhardt has to be ahead of Ammermuller, who's got to be ahead of Eng, and that would tee it up nicely.
Well, we wait a good while before all the cars make it to the grid, so if you're on the front row, or indeed just a couple of rows back, like Philipp Eng here, you have to sit there for a little while because we have to wait for the entire grid to get into grid position before we get the green flag from the marshal right at the rear of the grid, which is a long way back. There's Michael Ammermuller then. Tension and pressure, I wonder, beginning to manifest itself right at the start of this race. Anxiety perhaps, or is he going to be as cool as a cucumber? We will see. That's what he needs to be, certainly, and we've seen the fact that he has been more mature this season, hasn't he? Coped with the pressure as the engine note rises. Lights out now, and away we go. So Muller and Engelhardt, a fight at the front, and well, Engelhardt goes through and converts his pole position into P1 as some of the cars run wide, including Jaap van Lagen. But now Muller is under pressure. Went through into P2. Nicky Tim goes through to occupy P2. So it's Engelhardt from Tim, from Muller now. As the rest of the cars come through, and we've got one out wide.
Di Filippi.
And on the grass.
That's going to cause mayhem. He's gone around. Has he been tagged? He might do yet. No, thankfully everybody has missed him. Connor Di Filippi is in the road, and everybody has been able to find a way past. That looked like it was going to be monstrously expensive, but somehow they've all avoided the spinning American. Christian Engelhardt it is who leads the race, and Ammermuller and Eng not making great progress early doors.
No. Well, how on earth did everyone avoid that spinning like a top car? But they did, and thank goodness for that, because as you say, that would have been so expensive.
I think one or two went off the road, and some of this smoke is from damage underneath, but yeah, they at least didn't hit the spinning car, as you say.
So then, as they make their way through on this, the opening lap, Christian Engelhardt leads from a team from Muller.
The one to worry about is Eng, because he is not making great progress at all. Ammermuller is running in 4th spot at the moment, but Eng has made little progress, so the gap thinking about the championship. Engelhardt to Ammermuller will be down a little bit, but Philipp Eng here, the Austrian driver, needs to start making progress. He can feel this ebbing away.
Perhaps so. So Engelhardt completes then. And that, a turnaround there for Clemens Schmidt. Didn't see how that got provoked, but around he went, is rejoined. So there is Philipp Eng then behind Christopher Zoetzling.
Norbert Siedler with a great battle pack with him as well. He's got Kentenich, he's got Lucas Schreier, and also Jaap van Lagen in that group.
Yes, that's going to be a lively group, isn't it?
And then some.
Robert Lucas in there as well. Lucas and Van Lagen side by side now around the Parabolica.
But JVL has got the inside line for the next corner, so Van Lagen should go back through as they're hard on the brakes into the hairpin. Norbert Siedler through on the inside, and Van Lagen does go through. Scott Horst is in that mix as well, and there's Rolf Eichen heading the B class.
So all very, very busy out there, as is always the case with this Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland. And the race being led with Christian Engelhardt over a second margin over Nicky Tim in P2.
This is the right sort of circuit for these cars. It's wide, it's fast, and the cars have an opportunity to stretch their legs. The 991 being used in domestic championships for the first time. It was introduced last year to the Super Cup, but now running alongside it. And so if you're an Ammermuller, for example, doing both championships, you're in the same car all the time, doing mile after mile after mile. And it's no wonder that they become real experts in them.
You are getting a lot of mileage, aren't you? You're absolutely right. So, well, we're watching Philipp Eng then, who is P8. He has Zoetzling ahead of him. As you say, he's needing to push on now, really, because there is Ammermuller in P4, just went through on shot.
Trouble is, Eng's not close enough to think about making any moves, is he? I know that these cars don't necessarily like running nose to tail, and you have to be careful of the radiators anyway, but Eng has got a long line of cars ahead of him, and it just looks like he's stuck.
Yes, they're all spaced out, aren't they? The Kentenich Van Lagen battle. So we've got Engelhardt, Tim, in comes Anti-Buri.
Front
damage at the front there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Now, the front end of these Porsches is you know, a real weak point, isn't it, because of the radiators?
Yeah, and I'm not sure whether that's necessarily done around. I'm not quite sure what he's touched in order to do it, but that is the concern. That's another reason why nose-to-tail racing is hard to get in this, because it only takes the slightest tap and you're in trouble, and Van Lagen gets into Kentenich, and off as well goes Robert Lucas. Debris on the road, damage to the front of Van Lagen's car. Lucas off the circuit as well, and that could have just done the rad for Van Lagen. Let's have a look. He goes up the inside. There's the first bit of contact. There's the second. There's the third. And Lucas just spins in avoidance.
Now, how do you call that?
I think Van Lagen tapped him and got him more sideways. I think that, yeah, Van Lagen was a little bit keen there. Opportunistic, didn't work. And he has to try something, but I think he might have just been the catalyst for that.
Well, both of those cars, I would think, damaged beyond continuum. But we will see.
We'll see, as you say.
Lucas manages to get round.
Somebody else off.
That's one of the. That's one of the. Project 1 cars.
Is that Johnston? That's two off, in fact, because together they just drift wider and wider and wider. But I think probably it was Gerhardt being courageous up the inside. Here we go. There's a touch. Yes, it was courageous.
And another touch.
Another touch. And Van Lagen's in the pits.
No surprise there. That's damage beyond being able to continue, isn't it? You can see that. Thought that would be the case.
The fact that he rode up as well on that car of Kentenich would have done the suspension a power of no good as well. Well, that was a lively half a lap. And now all the gaps disappear. In terms of the race order, that's not done anything for Philipp Eng, because all of that was happening behind him, so he's not gained any places out of that.
No, he hasn't. What it has done, though, perhaps, although no more pace will be available to him, I suspect, but it will mean everyone will bunch up a bit, so he will have that slight advantage. But given he wasn't able to keep with them at the start anyway, what's the hope of him being able to keep it on the restart? I don't know.
What he might be able to hope is that battles develop ahead of him.
He might benefit from any comings together.
Yeah.
We'll see a replay of the start once again.
Great getaway by Engelhardt, just lit up the rears, didn't he? The car sag on the rear suspension, but a real peach of a start. And look, he's about 2 lengths ahead at the first corner. Muller slots in behind him, Tim third, but they've then reversed themselves. And Van Lagen forced out wide early doors. Gets back onto the circuit, but as ever, people getting very cavalier at turn 1. One of whom, in fairness, was Muller.
Yes.
Lucas, Scott Horst, Van Lagen, more and more of them go wide. You judge your pace against the car ahead, it runs wide and you're in stride. Now, De Filippi on the grass, round it comes, hold your breath.
How did they all avoid that? Because
close.
It's right in the middle, isn't it?
Yeah. And then that was Clement Schmidt. He didn't qualify very well, so by being in midfield anyway, that was one of the reasons I suspect why he was in jeopardy. And then this was the Van Lagen-Kentenich drama. Up the inside. Yeah, his line is only ever going to put him into the back of Kentenich. Robert Lucas there spins in avoidance, but actually he shouldn't have spun in avoidance. He should have been able to nip past them, really.
Yes.
And then Sean Johnston in the gravel. And a frustrating season for the American. And the other car that's off the road with him, look, is that of Christopher Gerhardt.
There is Jaap Van Lagen. He's race done and dusted with the damage that we've seen to the front end of that car. I was having a conversation with Jaap actually yesterday in discussions with looking at various opportunities for next season.
You were yapping, were you?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, David.
Get my coat. Right, safety car is on track, and Bert Mylander's photograph appears on someone's camera phone, the Formula 1 safety car driver, former Mercedes DTM racer.
And, of course, in the Carrera Cup.
Yeah.
Years gone by. In fact, there was a fantastic celebration last night, wasn't there, of the Porsche Carrera Cup, and that celebration continues tonight, I think.
25 years this is of the Carrera Cup, and I think next year is 30 years of one-make Porsche racing in Germany, because it started off with the 944 Turbo, in which Wolfgang Land was a regular champion, and Wolfgang Land has still won more races than anybody in a season in the championship, and overall, in fact, as well, combined. And now runs a very successful team, Land Motorsport, for whom Koen Ledegaard drives the French ace in this championship. Walter Lechner looks on. Now, do we go back to racing this time? Because the safety car is heading up towards the end of the lap, but its lights are still on, so it's going to be another lap behind the safety car.
Now, I fear this will go to time rather than laps, won't it?
I think you may be right, yes.
So we've got 15 and a half minutes left on the clock. We're on lap 5 of 14. Probably not going to get those laps away.
All right, this does give us at least a chance, perhaps, to catch up on the championship. Are you sitting comfortably? If things stay as they are, Christian Engelhardt would go into tomorrow's race on 196.
196.
Michael Ammermuller would go into tomorrow's race on 211. And Philip Eng would go into tomorrow's race on 216. So 5 points, Eng ahead of Ammermuller. Engelhardt's still out of the mix, I fear, but he's a bit closer.
Yes.
But if Ammermuller can get another place or two before the very end, then that's going to help for tomorrow.
So this is the reason the safety car's staying out a bit longer, is the snatch truck there getting rid of the Sean Johnston car.
We're on lap 6. Gaps are all coming down. The timetable always seems to dictate that Porsche's run at the end of Saturday because they have headlights, but it does work because it's a very Le Mans feel, isn't it? As the light fades and the light shine and a Porsche engine note echoes around. Yes, in this context, Porsche, a mainstay of 25 years of Carrera Cup 1 make racing, but Porsche's endurance program, whether it's for the 911 or for prototypes like the 917s or the 956, 962 and the new 919, it just goes on and on and on and on. And the Porsche Motorsport family is a large one, and you can understand why this championship is a success. So this is the championship prediction. 5 points between Eng and Ammermuller.
I think you were really rather accurate there, weren't you?
I have my moments, you know.
So the 1, 2, 3, 4 then, Eng, Ammermuller, Engelhardt and Muller. That is the prediction. That is, it stays the way it is. But as is so often the case with Porsche Carrera Cup, things ain't always as they seem.
But then bear in mind that you go into tomorrow's race and 20 points on offer. Even if Engelhardt were to win tomorrow,
he would need, well, do the computations.
I was going to say, if Eng didn't score tomorrow and Engelhardt were to win, that would put him equal on points with Eng. But if he were to win this and tomorrow, he would be ahead on a tie-break because of more wins, 5-3. But that doesn't factor in Ammermuller.
No.
And at the moment, Ammermuller has had 5 wins anyway. And if he's scoring, he's still going to be ahead of Engelhardt.
Yeah.
I still think Ammermuller is looking pretty strong for this title, but tomorrow's race really is where the number crunching is of perhaps more relevance. The safety car is in this time, at which point it's time for another big deep breath, and as we start lap 8, we'll go racing once more.
Okay, and we will have, by the time the safety car gets back into the pit lane, we're going to have about 11.5 minutes left to run.
Okay. And the way that Christian Engelhardt has been going suggests that he should be good on the restart. Michael Ammermuller versus Sven Müller for 3rd place. Philipp Eng on the back of Christopher Zirkling. Now Zirkling drives for Conrad.
Indeed.
The race leader, championship rival, drives
Indeed.
for Conrad.
Indeed.
I think you made the point before the race started that there are not necessarily team orders here, but you wouldn't want to give away a place to hurt your teammate, let's put it that way. So I suspect the defence that Zirkling puts up is going to be pretty stoic.
Robust, I would say.
I think that could be a word, yes. Right, hold on to your hats, we're about to go racing once
Engelhardt
again.
will back them all up now. He has Tim right behind him, and Tim will want the win. Let's not lose sight of that. And Sven Müller and Michael Ammermuller. And this is where we will see the measure of Ammermuller's maturity now.
Yes.
So as Engelhardt lights it up, Eng is the one that needs to move forward.
But Nicky Thiem could be very important here, because if he can get ahead of Engelhardt and take points away from him, that in turn helps his teammate Ammermuller. There are more than one way to skin a cat.
So we are back and racing once again. Certainly Christian Engelhardt and Nicky Thiem have already, before we've done one corner, pulled away from Sven Müller, who has Michael Ammermuller right behind him. But you can see the front two have got away as they now start the Parabolica.
Zirkling trying to buy into that battle and gain track position. So too Rolf Nijken, B-class leader. He's got Kentenich, who survived the experience of Jaap van Lagen's assault pretty well. But look, the top two getting away. Nicky Thiem trying to find a way past Engelhardt. Müller is defending, and up the inside there is Klaus Bachler to have a go at Jeffrey Schmidt. Is he going to do it? He is, and Eng almost gets a tap in the tail there from Seidler.
So Eng then looking no quicker necessarily on the restart, and why would he? But there with Schmidt, so Philipp Eng then, and Clemens Schmidt right on his gearbox now.
It's Jeffrey Schmidt, and he's gone backwards, hasn't he? Because
Yes.
he's lost out. So this might actually help Eng at the end of the lap. He should have gained a position out of all of this. So we'll see as they come over the timing line. Abacus at the ready. But yes, from Lechner's point of view, as a team, to help Ammermuller, team needs to get on with this, get into the race lead and snaffle some points away from Engelhardt.
But of course, both Engelhardt and Thiem are hugely experienced Porsche racers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Both big race winners. And, well, you can see how those two have pulled away from Müller and Ammermuller.
And Ammermuller, in fairness, also looks a bit more racy, doesn't he? Now,
Yes.
over the timing line they come. Engelhardt, Thiem, Müller, Ammermuller, Bachler, Zirkling 6th. Eng is up 1 spot to 7th. 8th is Jeffrey Schmidt, 9th is Seidler, and 10th is Lukas Schreier. Now there, number 17 in the black and green car. Ammermuller, a flash of the lights, that's a bit cheeky, against Sven Müller to try to unsettle him as they approach the Parabolica. Replay here up to the hairpin, and have a look at the inside, because that was Klaus Bachler's move against Jeffrey Schmidt, and he ran wide, and that's what triggered Zirkling to get up the inside of both of them, and Eng was able to take advantage as well.
So that playing into the hands of Philipp Eng, who is now P7. Christian Engelhardt and Nicky Tiemann. You're absolutely right. Ammermuller is looking more racy in this second part of the race. The race punctuated by a safety car.
But Engelhardt's looking racy because he's just done the absolute best in the first sector. I was wondering whether or not Tim would be able to go after him and take the lead from him. Look at fifth as well. Battler versus Zerkling here are together. Zerkling needs to keep Eng behind him to help teammate at Konrad Engelhardt. But, of course, this is going to mean a slightly wider gap in the championship for Eng going into tomorrow's race because he's just given himself here 1 extra point.
Yes, there is the championship prediction on screen. Eng on 2:16, Ammermuller 2:11, 1:96 for Engelhardt, 1:72 Sven Muller.
Yeah, well, that's wrong, you see, because now that Eng is up into 7th place, he's gained another point.
On 2:17.
That's right. Yeah, he's gained another point on that last lap, so ignore that for the moment. That's a lap down. There is Eng, and he's tigering on as best he can. He's not sparkled this weekend, has he? He's not qualified well, he's not raced brilliantly, but he's having a go. There's the race leaders come over the timing line. Engelhardt ahead of team. Now, I just wonder whether or not, seeing that Nicky Thiem is not a factor in the championship, he might be sacrificed to see whether they can get Ammermuller up the order. It's a thought. Trouble is that because Ammermuller is trying to find a way past Muller, it's very hard to do a switch of place without letting Muller get up into second spot as well. So let's see. Might be a case of Nicky Thiem orders.
The humour never stops. Right, Engelhardt with a 1.1 second margin over Nicky Thiem. As in comes the Combe Ledegar number 65 car, and that was up on the jacks.
Yeah, we've not seen the best out of Combe in his part season. Really good in the French championship, but he's the champion-elect, but just hasn't been able to really display the results in Carrera Cup Deutschland. Right, third place, it is still Sven Muller ahead of Michael Ammermuller as they come now down towards the Mercedes Tribune once again. The gap between the two of them went up slightly in Sector 1, but it's down again in Sector 2.
And there we can see that unfolding ahead of us. On screen, that battle for P3 between Sven Muller and Michael Ammermuller then in P4. 6 minutes left. And there you can see Ammermuller again. I have to say we are seeing a more controlled, a more consistent Ammermuller here. And you know, he's not throwing everything away in terms of trying to challenge Sven Muller. As around goes Wolf Nathan in the Uponor car number 3. Wolf, a regular podium placer in the B category, and that's how that happened. Tagged there by Ralph Bone, also another regular podium in the B category.
I don't think Ralph Bone's car is going to go a whole lot further. Bone looking dog-eared, I think it's fair to say there. That's the retirement beckoning as Wolf Nathan gets back into the race. And Parks next to Ralph Bone, so they can continue their discussion about what happened in Class B. Robert Lucas, after his earlier spin and trip to the barriers, heads for the pit lane. They race quite early tomorrow, the Porsche teams. Yes. There's going to be some midnight oil to be burnt. Look at Ammermuller right on the tail now of Sven Muller. This for third place, and with every point being crucial for Ammermuller, he needs to make this pass a success.
Well, bear in mind that, of course, Sven Muller is in his own race. Sven Muller, what team does he race for?
Project 1.
Who does Philipp Eng race for?
Project 1.
Therefore,
it's going to be a wide car.
Very.
Yes. And as Wolf Nathan gets out of his car, Ralph Bone gets back into his. I don't think he wanted that conversation to start. No.
That may be quite wise.
Yes. Wolf Nathan's about to huff and puff and blow Ralph Bone's house down, I think. He's not a happy man at all, is he?
No, I think he wants to have a conversation. And
ain't going to be by phone, is it?
No.
So, some more damage for the teams to sort out. The Land Motorsport car of Wolf Nathan is out of the race, and in the gravel is now Patrick Eiserman, but he's actually been able to dig himself out. That's impressive.
Yes. Particularly with all the weight at the rear as well. He did manage to dig that out.
The Eiserman cometh. So he was in and out the gravel at the Mercedes arena. The incident between Bone and Nathan is under investigation. That's a heck of a moment.
And he chucks all the gravel across the track.
Yes. but the car stopped. I mean, it didn't even have the momentum to come out the other side. He stopped it and then was able to drive out. So fair play to Patrick Iserman for still being in the race. And now the stadium is going to be ever so slippery because he's spat the gravel down on the road. We have 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock.
Right. And still, despite his best endeavours, Ammermuller has not been able to find a way past the Sven Muller Project 1 car, which is ahead of him. There is P2 for Nicky Tim. So Ammermuller there is, well, his podium is being denied, isn't it, by the Sven Muller car. But as I said, you know, Muller is in his own race. There is Philip Eng in P7, who really needed to be further up the order than he is. But he hasn't looked like he's had the potential to do that. Because look how Zöchling has got away. Zöchling now is on the back of car number 20.
There's one argument to say that Eng is thinking about points, driving conservatively, not taking any risks, and maintaining his championship lead, which he will have. There's another argument to say, if he drives like this tomorrow, that advantage could well evaporate, and a red flag is being shown. The race is being stopped. The race is being stopped, and therefore, as the cars complete lap 12, the result will go back. It's going to be a win for Engelhardt from Team, from Muller, from Ammermuller, because they've done 75%, and I think that's because of liquid on the road. That shot is showing either water or oil from somebody's car.
Right.
And that look has gone straight on,
yes,
up the escape road. Whose is it, is the next question. I think there is a snatch vehicle about to be deployed. Oh, there it is. It's the car of Wolf Nathan, which is being snatched out of the way. But by the look of it, the incident between him and Ralph Bone has put enough fluid down on the circuit for the track to be, in the opinion of Werner Eichinger, the race director, to be too dangerous, and the race will not be resumed.
That surprises me, because there's been a few, you know, there's been a couple of laps, hasn't there?
And it's kind of offline. You drive off that to get into the corner, and nobody else has gone up the escape road. But it's all very easy,
of course,
for us to criticise, and surely from the race director's point of view, it's better that somebody asks, why did you stop a race, not why didn't you?
Yes.
And so,
yes,
if there's a question mark over safety, there is no question mark. You stop it, you do the right thing, don't you? It's frustrating from our point of view, but he will have, of course, looked at the track cameras, had reports from the observers around the track. And so, Christian Engelhardt takes a third victory of the season. The race won't be resumed, and so after a safety car and a red flag, it mirrors what we had in Formula 3 earlier on in the afternoon. We have a result, and going into the final round of the championship, Philip Eng then 7th, he'll be on 217 points. Yes. Ammermuller 4th, 211, and Engelhardt the winner, 196. Tomorrow's race could be a corker.
It could. To be fair, I don't think anything would have changed over the remaining time that we had left. Do you? I think the gap to, you know, we'll never know, will we? We'd need a TARDIS.
It's flippant to say only if somebody hit that liquid and made a mistake. But actually, the guys at the front in this category are so good, I don't think that was going to happen. No. That red flag, again, with all respect, is probably more for the B-class drivers than your guns at the front of the field.
But there's only 3 B-class drivers left in the field.
Yeah, 2 would wipe themselves out and cause a stoppage, really.
Bone.
Yes.
And Nathan. We're out.
Our order combat.
Yes. OK. Well, what it does do, it sets up a fantastic... It sets up a fantastic battle for tomorrow.
And the cars will stop on the grid. Might take a little bit of orchestrating this to get them to the podium. But